Hello, Namaskar. Myself Dr. Amit Sethia. I work in an NGO, Conservation Research and Nature Education Society, in short CRANES, at Gadchiroli. Today I am going to share a topic or experience of my work in a form of this presentation, which is Indian Biodiversity Act and its socio-economic impact on rural livelihood. So, before starting, we must know that we are among the mega biodiversity countries in the world. We are among the 12 mega biodiversity countries in the world, and when we say we are blessed with so much of natural resources, then it becomes our immense responsibility to conserve all those things. So this act, and if we go technically, we cannot manage what we don't know. So it becomes very important to know what are the bioresources with us. I call it as a treasure. So if you have a treasure, then you need to know how much is the quantity of that treasure is with you. So this is one thing. Then second, the need of documentation of biodiversity. Now we talk in a way that previously we were having so many natural resources and now we are lacking of it. We have destroyed the forest, we have destroyed the species. So we can say as now, but we don't have any proofs for that. So we need to know, we need to document now, so that in future if we have to encounter such situation, then we must know what we had in past. So the documentation of knowledge, documentation of traditional knowledge particularly, is the urgent need of time. We want the development, but this development should be a sustainable development, not on the cost of our bioresources. So a sustainable development is required, conservation of these bioresources is important, and finally to empower all these local community, this act is needed. So we have Indian national legislation in the form of Indian Biodiversity Act 2002, Indian Biodiversity Rules 2004, and then recently the access and benefit sharing regulations, where commercial enterprises are binded to share their profit with the local communities or from those from where the natural resources were procured. So when it was started, so give me a 2 minutes time where I can give you to when I can take you to the past, where I'll be talking on Convention on Biological Diversity. So in the past, where all developing nations were concerned about the biodiversity, they decided to come together and do something for conservation of this biodiversity. So first time the Convention on Biological Diversities was signed in the Earth Summit at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in June 1992. At this stage, the several countries came together to make a convention on biological diversity. India also became a party to this convention in 1994. And presently there are 196 parties which have signed this convention. It means they are binded to follow whatever the international guidelines given by it. Then let us come to an Indian perspective. So we have Indian Biological Diversity Act 2002. So in this act there are several sections and subsections. So according to that, number 18 of 2003 says that means they have prepared the rules of this Biodiversity Act, and these were properly based on conservation of biological diversity, sustainable use of its components, and then finally the fair and equitable sharing of the benefits arising out of those biological resources, knowledge, and for matters concerned therewith or the incidents thereto. I can give you one simple example, right? So in our forest we were having ample of Amla. There was a time then when Amla was like a very common species, but right now if you step into our forest, you see Amla as one of the rare species. It is threatened already and now it has become rare. So what happened? So in the past, the pharmaceutical and other drug companies procured Amla from this forest in huge quantity, and the people residing there were not aware of this act or anything which would give them an insight of sustainable development. So they procured the amla from forest in a tremendous way, in such a disastrous way that it has become a rare thing now. And out of that they have made crores of rupees. I can say you that amla they have procured from forest was procured for say for example 2 rupees a kilo, and the Chyawanprash made out of those amla was sold at 1000 rupees a kg. So there is a huge gap difference, and actually the benefit or the profit made out of those bioresources were by the companies and the pharmaceutical industries. And what these tribal people have got, they have got nothing. Right now they are themselves, their children cannot have that fresh amla to eat. So to control all these things, the access and benefit sharing thing was in the act. So overall this act extends to the whole of the India and reforms the sovereign act of the country over its biological resources. Then to implement this act, there is a 3-tier system. And at the top there is National Biodiversity Authority. Then to the National Biodiversity Authorities there are 29 state biodiversity board which control this on a state level, and on the local level there is Biodiversity Management Committee. Right now there are about 240,000 biodiversity management committees which are given the authority to maintain their biological resources at the local level, and this whole things comes under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So if we take this Biodiversity Act on a local level, then to implement this act there is an immense need of a committee. So as per law, rules and guidelines, it clearly states that at the local level there should be a constitution of Biodiversity Management Committee. Short form is the BMC, we call it as. So what this BMC is supposed to do? So they are supposed to prepare a comprehensive document of all the bioresources locally by the people. Means it should be a document which is prepared by the involvement of local communities, local people, and so it is called as the People's Biodiversity Register. I think right now India is the pioneer country on the globe to undergo this practice. It all started in India with Dr. Madhav Gadgil. The first PBR in India was prepared in Maharashtra, and fortunately I am very fortunate to be a part of this PBR process at Lekha Menda, where the first of its PBR were prepared, and I was among the part of it. So what the PBR is? So basically it is a document prepared by the people and for the people. Why it is needed? That, as I have stated earlier, it is the thing to know the bioresources with them, and it gives a clear cut picture of the bioresources wealth of the locality. It gives you all the fauna and flora it put all these flora and fauna in a proper clear picture. There is a unique way to create ecological, biogeographical and demographic and ethnic history by this PBR. The most important part of this PBR is to document the traditional and indigenous knowledge which is vanishing day by day. As we know, the modernization is occupying like anything, and all these tribal communities are so fascinated by the modernization that nobody want to take the traditional knowledge. So this PBR is a very good practice in order to document all these ethnic, traditional and indigenous knowledge before it get vanished. And there is an urgent need. As we know, there are few people, India is young country, very few are old age people with this knowledge, and unfortunately if these people pass away, the knowledge will also. So it becomes an urgent need to document all these traditional knowledge, and to do this we need a catalyst, and a person like us or there are several NGOs, there are several persons working in this field. They are very concerned and they are going on the field, they are helping the local communities in documenting all these things, because if we say we have to document, this documentation definitely will be done on the local level, but it should have a scientific base. So if we want to know a species on local level, it is okay, but if we want the global people to know this species, then a scientific name, scientific identification is much required, and that too a precise one, not the missing or incorrect one. So here in the picture you can see we have done several field visit, we have connected with communities, we have made a synchronization with this, and these people wholeheartedly shared their information, and we are very fortunate that the first 5 PBRs as per the NBA and Maharashtra State Biodiversity Board guidelines were prepared by us. So ultimately the PBR is a very effective medium to access the biodiversity. Now up to now we have seen the BMC, its importance, and PBR, its process and preparation, but a general common man will say, okay, I'll do this, but what I'll get out of this? Okay, so here we have come up with an excellent example. Year before I have been sanctioned a project by GIZ, where we have given a task to implement the access and benefit sharing good practices. And if you can see in this picture, it is a normal climber weed which grows all over in Maharashtra. The plant name is Trichosanthis cucumeriana. The plant belongs to Cucurbitaceae, and after during rainy season it start sprouting, and before winter it flourishes very well. If you go to any village environment, you will see many plants like this. Previously, when we were not entered into the villages, this plant was a weed and absolutely no use for the people. But after the preparation of document, when we know this plant is found here, so we have connected one of the pharmaceutical procuring firm in Nagpur. We contacted them and we said that we have a list of all these bioresources, you please check it out and see if you require some of them or many, we can procure you. So they have went through the list, and they have seen that a Trichosanthis cucumeriana is there, and they were required Trichosanthis cucumeriana. So then we came to people in the villages, basically some ladies from Bachat Gat. We communicated with them that so and so trader is requiring this plant, he is ready to purchase it from you, are you ready to collect this plant? So they said yes, it is of no use for us, and now we are done with our agricultural practices and we are free now, so we can do this. So we said okay, let's do an experiment. We connected a trader to them, and then we did a fantastic work, I can say. Here basically we were working on 5 pilot BMCs in Gadchiroli district, but the most prominent one which I would like to take you into the notice is the Chicholi. Here we have worked for 1 year. We have established a very good two-way communication with these people. We have prepared the PBR, so those people who were working in the field of biodiversity and bioresources were very well known our importance, their bio wealth, and the importance of PBR. And this Bachat Gat came in front, and similarly the Biodiversity Management Committee in Chicholi is an exceptional one. It is the committee fully governed by women only. I think this is one of the committee which is solely governed by the women. It is an excellent example of women governance in the village development scene. And further, now how to trade and how to deal with this biodiversity thing, and to get something out of their livelihood. So here it is a biodiversity management committee, which is basically a management committee. This committee doesn't have any rights to sell or trade in terms of bioresources, but there are other committees in the on the ground level, which could be a PESA committee, which could be a joint forest management committee, or here in Gadchiroli there is a prominent existence of Gram Sabha, or even the Bachat Gat. These are the collection and operational committees which can directly trade these bioresources. So further, we call it as the collection and operational committee. These operational committee could be a Bachat Gat of several women, it could be independent collectors, or this could be the Gram Sabha or any other thing. So here there is a mechanism you need to understand in order to see how this biodiversity thing can generate some money and livelihood for this. So the Bachat Gat will collect the NTFP and will hand over to the collection and operational committee. What they will get in return? They will get their trade cost, whatever the market trade rate is there, they will be paid by this, right? So here this flow chart give you us a clear cut idea that the collection and operational committee will go for a trade. We have implemented the local tax process also. It means if a local community sells any bioresources, as up to now what was happening, that they were selling the bioresources at whatever the market price decided already. But with this act and with this provision of the local tax, what we call it as levy fee, the people can implement the or they can charge some local tax over their traded value, right? So here the first time the people came together and decided to take 5% levy fee on the normal traded price. So here the collection and operational committee will collect the 5% levy fee on behalf of biodiversity management committee, and after the collection they will retain their market price with them and they will transfer those 5% levy fee or local tax to the biodiversity management committee's account. Now here the trader or the processor or the manufacturer will also need to inform that he need to pay further the access and benefit sharing as per the Indian Biodiversity Act. Now what happened, how the process goes on, after the trade value, the trader or the processor or the manufacturer has to be registered at State Biodiversity Board. And what will happen, this Biodiversity Management Committee will inform the State Biodiversity Board about whatever the trade happened. Now the Maharashtra, or say in this case Maharashtra State Biodiversity Board, will send the notice to that trader or manufacturer or processor about the collection of access and benefit sharing fees. Now what will happen, this Maharashtra State Biodiversity Board will charge about 3 to 5% of the access and benefit sharing cost on the trade value. Now the Maharashtra State Biodiversity ideally will collect this 5% amount from the trader, processor or manufacturer, and out of those 100% they will keep 5% with them and they will send that 95% of the collected amount to the BMC, the Biodiversity Management Committee. Now here in all these processes we can see that this Biodiversity Management Committee or the person who are involved in the trade were firstly getting the normal traded price and nothing else, and now after this implementation of the act, now they are getting 5% local tax and 5% levy fee. So this is an additional income to the committee, to the people, by the enactation of this Biodiversity Act. Now as up to now I have come up to the end of my presentation, and before I end up I want you to take some messages at home, right? This my first request to all the academicians that they should come from the lab to the land. now we have a social responsibility towards the communities. They are the custodian of these bioresources, but actually they don't know how to manage it scientifically, and scientific management of the bioresources is an important thing. So here our responsibility is very important to take the actions. Now try to understand the ecosystem services. For all of us, we need to know what the ecosystem services to us. Right now during the corona pandemic, we have seen so many of the messages which clearly provoked us to know the value of the oxygen cylinder, to the value of the nature, to this biodiversity, to the natural resources. So we need to know what these ecosystem services are, and the biodiversity is its important component. We need to come out of our comfort zone. We need to work on land, work for communities, and this is for sure that this is not going to be an easy thing. So you need to put some extra efforts and move out of your comfort zone. Then we need more taxonomists and parataxonomists to identify the species. Local people can have an inventory of their own with 100 or 200 species, for example, but when a taxonomist or a parataxonomist enters at the site along with their known plants, he or she can add several other plants to its resource list. So we need more taxonomists, and ultimately for all of the juvenile and immature professional in this field, I would like to tell you that nature is the best teacher. No one can teach you this biodiversity and all these things other than nature. So we need to go up to nature, and we need to learn from the nature. And finally, the government, non-government, and academicians are needed to put more efforts in this biodiversity thing, so that we can breathe easy, we can live for longer time. Otherwise, we have just recently seen a trailer from corona pandemic that we are close to extinction. That's it from my side. I would like to request all you to please conserve your biodiversity, take part, communicate with the people, and go ahead. The nature always welcomes you. Thank you very much.